I'm sure you know a lot of people that'll say, hey man, if you got a problem with me, just tell me. I want to know. I can take it. And you know what I say? Don't do that.
Hey, fellas.
If you go to body language as your go-to way to motivate people, the problem with that is it can cause more harm than good. Because if I think that another person's upset with me, and before a conversation even starts, they look aggravated, frustrated, disapproving, whatever, then you know what might happen? I might become defensive because I'm waiting for bad news.
Well, it's a lot of pints just for us.
I thought you might have had a tough time with Roy.
If I'm being honest, I actually never got around to telling Roy. Now, don't give me those eyes.
And now you're getting judgmental and disapproving because you know Ted should have had that conversation with Roy. So after you ask the question, hey, Ted, do you mind if we ask? Did you not think that was the right idea? Like, what got in the way of doing it? And that's where the curiosity comes in.
Well, I'm starting Roy against Man City, and that's that. Look, putting him on the bench wouldn't just be humiliating to him. It could actually affect his livelihood. And you know better than anyone that all this ain't about winning to me, because that ain't how we measure success, right?
Damn it, it is!
And this video, to me, is about motivating another person to shift their mindset, to recognize their blind spots, and also to understand the tools they have in their influence toolbox. In the influence toolbox, in this case, Coach Beard is using yelling and the body language of the disapproval look on his face. Those are the tools that he's using to motivate Ted Lasso in this situation.
Hey, who put a firecracker up your butt and lit it?
You did! I'm sick of it. Look, I understood this mission. We were in Kansas, but those were kids, and these are professionals, and winning does matter to them. And it matters to me.
You know, one of the first questions coaches always ask me is, I know we're not supposed to yell at people because, kids are sensitive and we can't do that. I actually think yelling can be a very effective tool of motivation on two conditions. Number one, it's used as an exception and not the norm. And two, that the person doing the yelling is respected and trusted by the person being yelled at. Because if I'm yelled at by someone that I respect and trust, and it's the exception, not the norm, I can live with that. It actually may indeed motivate me.
How do you not get it? Losing has repercussions. We lose, we get relegated.
How do you not get it? That in itself is a value judgment. And that in itself is where we break down in generational communication all the time. Because, hey, if I know it, you should know it. And that's a fallacy, because it doesn't matter what age or what experience you have, we have different levels of knowledge and experience. So how do you not get it is a value judgment, and also will often provoke conflict.
We get relegated, this is over, and we will have built nothing. And if you want to pick a player's feelings over a coach's duty to make a point, I don't want to drink with someone that's selfish.
I'm sure you know a lot of people that'll say, hey man, if you got a problem with me, just tell me. I want to know. I can take it. And you know what I say? Don't do that. Because the second someone leads with criticism, it creates a level of defensiveness, deflection, or denial. So when when Coach Beard led with criticism, you're typically likely to get someone to be defensive and closed off. Part of being good at change management and change communication is that if you know someone is, like Ted Lasso was in this scene, if you know they're resistant to having a courageous conversation with Roy, if you know that, then the only way you can help Ted Lasso is to understand what's causing the resistance. And so the outcome of that conversation is not necessarily to convince Ted Lasso to have the conversation. It could be just to get him to embrace a different perspective and know what's in the way of having that conversation.